The Wellness Hour. An in-depth discussion with today's top physicians and medical leaders. And now, your host, Randy Alvarez.
You're watching The Wellness Hour, the leader in medical news and information. I'm Randy Alvarez. Today's topic, what every man needs to know about healthy aging. With us, we have a medical doctor, probably, in fact, nobody would disagree, the best shaped 72-year-old in the world, Dr. Jeff Life. Dr. Life, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Randy. It's good to be here.
Now, we're talking about andropause today.
Right.
And hormone optimization, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy for men. Now, before we get into today's topic, for those that don't know, tell me a little bit about your center in Las Vegas. I guess men from all over the country, all over the world now, travel there to be healthy. So who's the typical patient, and what do you do there?
My typical patient is a man, age 46, 47.
Okay.
That's the average age. And they come to my center because they know there's something going on that is decreasing their energy levels, interfering with their sexual function, interfering with their focus, their ability to interact with their colleagues.
Okay.
And that's why they come see me.
So you have a big celebrity clientele.
I do, yes.
And but also everyday folks.
Everyday folks, business executives, lots of doctors.
Is that right? A lot of doctors?
25% of my patients are doctors.
Okay.
Which I think speaks volumes about what this program does for people.
Okay, now let's talk. Now, you have your book, The Life Plan, Dr. Life's Guide for Men to Great Health, Better Sex, and a Stronger, Leaner Body. This photo of you, we've seen it on the airlines. I see it on this national ad campaign all over the country. And people always ask me, because they know that I've met you before and interviewed you before, they say, does he really look like that? And I always say, he looks better than that.
Actually, Randy, the photo you've seen that everyone has seen is 6 years old.
Okay.
The photo in my book is just brand new.
Okay, so we're going to the book. So this photo is you right here. Now, is that touched up? I mean, do people ask you that?
People ask me that all the time. They say, is this photo really, is it real or is it Photoshopped? And then they see me and they realize it's not Photoshopped.
Yeah, because you know what's nice, and we talked off camera, is on your book cover, you have a before up in the left corner. That was you.
That was me back when I was in my 50s.
And here you are today. And I told you, even since the last time I saw you, you're much leaner.
It just, it's an amazing program. Truly is amazing to get better each year that you get older. I mean, it's amazing.
Is that, you believe that's possible for most people?
I know it's possible. I mean, that's what I've done. I just look at myself in the mirror and I think, I cannot believe that I am 72 years old and look like this. It's truly amazing.
And it's possible for anyone to do that,
It's possible for anybody that gets their hormones corrected into an optimal range, that does the exercise, not huge amounts of exercise, but just enough exercise to maintain your muscle mass or increase it, and does cardio.
Okay. And I know your program, it's outlined in your book.
And eats right.
They have to eat right as well. And supplementation?
Supplementation, the right vitamins, minerals, and then if you are deficient in hormones, you need to get those corrected.
Okay, good. One of the things that we talked about, I said, my jealousy is, because I've told you that I battled weight in and out of great shape my whole life, but almost every diet book's written by a skinny guy that's never battled a weight problem.
That's right.
And I thought, finally, a guy that's actually battled weight and beat it.
That's right. I talk about my experience throughout my book, at the beginning of my book, and how I went from a fat guy that was headed for diabetes and heart disease, actually already had heart disease, back when I was in my mid-50s, to being healthy and vibrant. And my sexual function was declining back in my 50s. That's all come back like I was in my 30s. It's really amazing what this whole program can do for people.
Okay, now at your center, you have other doctors all preaching the same thing, all sharing the same philosophy and approach?
That's right.
Okay, and you call it what? You call it hormone optimization?
Well, correcting hormone deficiencies really is what it's all about. And the major hormones that I deal with are testosterone for sure. Most men start losing their testosterone levels. They start to decline at about age 40.
At about 40.
And it's a very slow, insidious process.
How do you know if you have a low testosterone level, by the way? What are some of the symptoms?
If you don't get spontaneous erections.
Meaning?
Meaning that just out of the blue you get an erection.
Okay.
That people.
Is that right?
That's right.
Because in your book you say every morning you should wake up.
That's the other thing. Well, not every morning, but if you can't remember the last time you woke up with an erection,
Okay.
then your testosterone levels are low. If you don't have much desire for sex, your testosterone levels are low. If you're training at the gym and you're not getting rid of your body fat, it just keeps getting more so, it's probably because your testosterone's low. If your energy levels, if you feel like you have to take a nap in the afternoon, it may well be because your testosterone level is low.
Couldn't somebody argue that's just part of aging?
It is part of aging, but it doesn't have to happen in today's world.
Is that right?
That's right.
So let's start though with andropause. What defines it for men?
Andropause, really, the definition of andropause is where men's testosterone level starts to decline.
Okay.
It's a very slow, insidious process. Men don't realize it's happening.
It's different than women's menopause?
Much different. Women's menopause happens pretty abruptly. They can tell you when it happened. They can almost tell you the month. It's a dramatic change for them. With men, it's very insidious. The testosterone levels slowly creep down, and men don't realize it. And then all of a sudden, they realize that they don't have the energy they used to have. They're storing body fat, especially in their abdomen. Their sexual function's declining. They don't get early morning erections. They don't get spontaneous erections anymore. And it's suddenly...
What about the heart? What about the heart?
And the heart has more testosterone receptors than any other organ in the body. So the heart is taking a hit on this too. People ask me, what's the downside to replacing testosterone? Taking a testosterone to get your levels up. There's no downside.
Really?
There's no downside. There's a huge downside to walking around with low testosterone levels.
What about cancer? So anticipating this interview, I mean, you're well known all over the world. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Dr. Jeff Life. You've seen him on television. He's known as probably the best shaped 72-year-old in the world. His new book, The Life Plan. With testosterone, what about the fear of growing cancers? Because that's what people say, right? The problem with taking testosterone is, my father had this, problems with his prostate.
I hear this all the time. I've heard it from my colleagues, my urologist a few years ago. Everyone used to think that putting testosterone into men's bodies increases their risk for prostate cancer.
Yeah.
It is just not true.
It's not.
It is a myth that has been perpetrated throughout the halls of medicine for the last 100 years. And now
so when you hear that is too much testosterone? Is that what's bad? Is that what we're talking about? Or those are just myths altogether?
They're all myths. It's really men with low testosterone levels that are at the greatest risk for prostate cancer.
Is that right?
That's right.
There's data to...
There have been several studies in the last 5 years that support this. And now we actually put men back on testosterone that have had prostate cancer once we proved that their cancer has been destroyed. It's gone. That they're free of cancer. So it's a big misconception that not only the lay public has, but many physicians still carry around this idea. And it's wrong.
Safe if done properly.
It's safe if done properly.
Because you're doing a lot of testing. You're not just giving
throughout the year.
testosterone.
I get four tests, 4 blood levels every 3 to 4 months, and make sure that the levels are not too high, and that the breakdown products of testosterone are not getting too high. So it has to be followed very carefully by someone that knows what they're doing.
Okay, now there's a big learning curve for this, by the way, because a lot of doctors, they come to me, they want to get on my show, breaking into the business, so to speak. This is all you do.
This is all I do. I do age management medicine, which includes all the things that need to be done to keep people healthy and keep them vibrant and keep their quality of life up and prevent disease.
Now, most of the people that go to you, though, they have symptoms. Is that correct? Even though you're all about prevention, but they come to you with symptoms. Is that right?
The biggest reasons men come to me is that they've noticed a decline in their energy. They notice that they can't get rid of body fat even though they're going to the gym and training hard. And the biggest reason is their decline in sexual function. And they know that something's wrong. Many of them have gone to their family doctors, their traditional physicians, and they're told this is just part of the aging process. You just got to deal with it.
Are they really being told that? A guy in his 60s young today.
That's right. They're being told this all the time.
What, that it's just okay to not have sex drive?
Typically, here's what happens.
Okay.
They go to their doctor and they say, I think my testosterone level's low. So the doctor does a blood test. And the lab comes back and the doctor sits there and says, your testosterone is normal. What he doesn't tell him is that he's a D- student.
Interesting. What do you mean by that? Elaborate.
It means he's at the bottom of the reference range. If his testosterone level is below 300, he needs to be on testosterone.
Okay. So a 60-year-old, and I may be wrong, you're returning their levels to what they were when they were in their 30s?
Around 40.
Okay. But with testosterone levels, what happens? Okay, so you've done the testing, somebody shows low. How soon can they feel different?
So I start them on testosterone right there in my office. And within a few days, maybe a week, they definitely start feeling different.
What do they say?
They feel more energized. Their sexual function improves. They start thinking more, have more sexual thoughts. They start getting spontaneous erections. They wake up with an erection.
I mean, do they call you and say, like, this is a miracle kind of a thing?
Yes.
Because it sounds like a quick fix. It almost sounds too good to be true.
By the time they come to me, they're not.
Okay.
But they don't expect the results to happen that quickly. It depends. If their levels are just marginal, then they slowly get better. If their levels are really in the tank, then they notice it very dramatically. Another thing about testosterone is that men start to refocus their lives again. They get back on track with their families, their wives or significant others.
So it gives you drive?
And it gives tremendous drive. It just completely turns it around. It's really amazing what it does.
Now with women, by the way, and I know you treat women as well, mostly men, but they say with women, it's that assertive hormone, because women have testosterone levels too.
Women need testosterone for their libido, it plays a big part in their sexual function. Of course, they don't need levels as high as we do, but it's a very important hormone for women.
So aside from testosterone, what other hormones are you replenishing or replacing?
The typical hormones are the sex hormones, which would be DHEA and testosterone for men, estrogen, progesterone for women. In some rare cases, it can be growth hormone deficiency. Thyroid, many times, is suboptimal.
Okay.
And this is all determined by blood work, and I only treat if there's a deficiency.
Now, I have questions about growth hormone, but back to thyroid for a moment. How important is thyroid?
Thyroid is hugely important. It's one of the major hormones of the body.
Okay.
And if you're deficient in thyroid, it can affect your ability to burn body fat, your hair, your skin, your energy levels. It's hugely important.
Is that something that everybody, when they come in, that they have low thyroid?
No.
What percentage?
No, not everybody. Maybe 10 to 20%.
Oh, that's low. That's low. Mm-hmm. Growth hormone. What are your thoughts?
It's very controversial, Randy. Okay. It's the most controversial hormone. When patients come to see me for the first time, many have low levels of growth hormone.
And how do you know if you have low levels?
Blood test.
Okay.
And tie that in with their clinical findings and the problems they're having. So it all ties together that they have growth hormone deficiency. But I don't do anything about that. I just treat everything else, get them on the right exercise program, the right nutrition, and correct their testosterone levels and other hormones. And most everybody, I'd say 90%, will come back, and when I repeat the blood work in 8 weeks, they will have added, many of them, double their growth hormone production. Their own growth hormone.
Now, you told me in the green room, you said, because I look at growth hormone as a quick fix. I thought, this really sounds good. And you were saying that you could naturally, with diet, exercise, nutrition, testosterone, raise it 100 points.
Right.
Is that right? Without using growth hormone?
Without using growth hormone. Now, if a patient is unable to achieve that, then I would have them come back to my office and I would do a pituitary stimulation test.
Okay.
And that's what the FDA recommends or actually requires to diagnose adult growth hormone deficiency. And if they fail that test, that means that they are truly deficient in growth hormone. They can never make enough growth hormone. If that's the case, it is very, very important to correct that. Because if you have inadequate levels of growth hormone,
what are the symptoms?
You will be depressed, You will have a greater risk for all of the age-related diseases. You will build body fat. You'll lose muscle mass, and then just the list goes on and on.
Now, when I look at you at 72 years old, okay, in medicine and science, you've gained muscle from 65 to 72. Isn't that not supposed to happen?
That's right.
Okay.
Most people.
I mean, I read this in your book, by the way, and I'm quoting you actually.
This is called sarcopenia. As people age, they develop sarcopenia, which is a loss of muscle mass associated with aging. This is the standard. This is what everyone expects. This is what the literature supports, that no matter what you do, you will lose muscle mass as you age. That is baloney. That just isn't the case. If you continue with your exercise program and you correct your hormone deficiencies, you can gain muscle mass. And I have gained muscle mass. And just
So somebody 60 years old watching this, 65 years old, they could put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle without steroids.
That's right.
Isn't that right?
They can add muscle mass.
So looking at you right there in this photo, okay, you must have a good level of growth hormone. Your levels are good.
My levels are good.
Is this your dream practice, by the way?
Yes, absolutely.
Why? Why do you like it so much?
Well, because I help people so much. When I was in traditional medicine, treating colds and flu, and I would try to implement healthy aging practices with my patients, they just could care less. They just got bigger and bigger. Now this is all I do. I prevent disease. I improve quality of life. I give people a new zest for life. I improve their sexual function. I improve their ability to move around. It's just nothing.
You make it sound easy, but it can be if they take your advice, if they change their nutrition.
It's not rocket science. It's not hard. It just requires doing resistance training 3 times a week at the minimum, and doing some cardio training, eating right, and making sure hormone levels are
Now, this
correct.
plan, by the way, exercise, diet, nutrition, supplements, are all laid out in your book. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, we're with Dr. Jeff Life, wrote the Life Plan. You look like that under your...
I do.
Now, you went through this transition, though, yourself.
I did.
In your book, you say you were probably depressed. You were a medical doctor. You appeared to have it all, but you felt lousy.
I felt lousy. My sexual function was declining. I felt like I was a bad example for my patients. I had a
Did you really?
40-inch waist. Well, you can see what I looked like back in my 50s. And then I did the Body for Life contest with Bill Phillips in 1998. And that really changed everything.
You entered a contest
to change my
to
body.
be in good shape. Okay.
And I won that. I became a grand champion for my age group. And that really changed my direction in medicine. And then 5 years later, I learned about age management medicine through Synergenics, became a Synergenics patient 7.5 years ago, back in June of 03, and it's changed my life. And I wrote this book because I've seen what it's done for me, I've seen what it's done for my patients, and I want to get as many people as possible to realize that you don't have to just age like your parents did. You don't have to follow the course that your dad followed.
Do you feel better now than when you were in your 50s?
Absolutely.
You really do?
Oh,
Without
no
question?
comparison. No
Really?
comparison.
What's better now than when you were 50? Obviously, you have more wisdom and perspective. But do you know you feel better?
Oh, I know. I mean, I wake up, I get out of bed in a flash. I'm on the go throughout the whole day. I have more energy than some of my staff, most of my staff that are in their 30s. I have more flexibility than I've ever had because I've worked at it, quicker than I used to be because I'm training in Taekwondo, martial arts. My sexual function is as good as it was in my 30s. It had really taken a hit when I was in my 50s and early 60s. That's all changed.
You travel more now. You
travel more.
Enjoy life more. See, a lot of people want to do those things. They just don't have the motivation. When you optimize hormones, eat better, get plenty of rest, I mean, does your motivation come back? And elaborate on that.
The typical patient I see has lost their motivation, their zest for life. That's one reason they come see me. They don't want to go to the gym anymore. They're not making progress. They really drag themselves to work. They're competing against people younger than they are, and this is a threat to them. Once I get done with them and get them on the right exercise program,
All right.
it changes all that. and they can compete with the best of the best.
Give me a success story. I mean, give me an example of a guy that was down and out, and physically, mentally, and through what you're doing, everything changed.
I had a doctor that was in his early 50s, and he came in on diabetic medicine. He had a 43-inch waist. He had 30% body fat. He could hardly get up a flight of steps without stopping and catching his breath. He had gone to his doctor, and his doctor said that he needed to lose weight and exercise. That's what his doctor said.
Okay, that's good advice.
Yeah, you need to lose weight and exercise.
Okay, easier said than done, I guess.
So I got his hormone levels. His testosterone was in the bottom quartile. In other words, very, very low. His DHEA was low. His growth hormone level was low too. His thyroid, he needed some thyroid. He needed to be put on a really regimented exercise program. So we helped him with that.
Okay.
And he had to really eat very carefully, and we helped him design his
You help wipe out their cravings.
Yes.
Is that right?
Absolutely. I have a whole chapter in my book on that.
Yeah.
And so he started doing all this. And 4 weeks, he calls me. He says, I'm feeling so much better. I've dropped 10 pounds. And I'm going to the gym every day, 5 days a week. And he says, it's truly amazing. This is 4 weeks. At 8 weeks, I redrew his blood, and his growth hormone level had gone up 110 points. He was making his own growth hormone level.
So you didn't have to give him growth hormone?
I didn't have to give him growth hormone. His testosterone level was now at a healthy 40-year-old level. His DHEA had come up, which to a healthy level. His thyroid was perfect. He dropped a significant amount of body fat. And his endurance, I do VO2 max testing at my office, which tells about cardiovascular fitness.
Is it a treadmill? What is it?
It's a bike.
It's a bike, okay.
And his VO2 max had improved, so his cardiovascular fitness had improved. His resting heart rate had come down. Everything had improved. Especially his energy levels and his ability to focus on his career, the way he related to his family, everything.
Everything.
And this is typical.
Now we are out of time, but if it's as good as you say it is, hormone optimization, getting involved in the right kind of nutrition, exercise, why isn't everybody doing it? Why aren't they? I mean, people are already, I guess, all over the country and out of the country going to you,
Yes.
your center.
Yes.
But why isn't everybody doing it, or more?
I think one of the big reasons is that they're traditional physicians. Traditional medicine is all about treating disease. So traditional medicine doesn't focus on what you need to do to maintain a great quality of life and prevent disease. I think so. It really doesn't enter their heads that they can make some changes in their life that are not hard to do, that will dramatically change their lives. They don't realize the impact just eating better, exercise, and fixing a low testosterone level or low DHE level has on them. It's just, I think, a lack of knowledge. In my book, I'm hoping, will make people aware that they can do so much to improve their life. As they get older and older, they can keep doing the things they love to do. They can play with their grandkids or their great-grandkids.
What if a guy is in his 70s and he feels pretty good? He says, I feel good for 70.
Men come to me and they think that this is the way they're supposed to feel. They're supposed to feel not so good. They're supposed to have not much energy because they're older.
Okay.
But they don't have to. It's not that way at all. They can
Is that
feel.
right?
That's absolutely.
Do you
right.
think you're going to be about 120? Do you think you're going to live there?
I don't know how long I'm going to live.
Over 100, you think?
I have no idea, but I can tell you that every day I feel better.
In 10 years, you think that you're going to feel good still? At 82?
I'm hoping.
You
I'm
think
doing
so?
everything
you don't
I
want to
can.
jinx yourself here, but you think it's possible. Do you see other 80-year-olds that feel great?
One of the biggest issues I deal with in my own head, and I have this mindset that I should not be doing this stuff because I'm 72, and I have to get that out of my head.
Really?
I constantly get this feeling, maybe I should slow down, but I don't want to slow down.
Is that right?
So I have to say, no, I cannot think about how old I am. I got to think about how I feel. And I think this is just going to, in the last 2 years, I feel better than I did 2 years ago. I feel better than when I last saw you, which was
You asked me, you said, when was the taping date last time? And I said, you're leaner. You think you put on more muscle in a year or so?
I know I have, because I do the DEXA scan, so I can tell you to the gram how much muscle.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
So it's a bone density.
Oh, it's bone density, but it does body composition also. So it tells me grams of body fat and where it's distributed.
Wow.
Grams of muscle.
Final message. Somebody watching this, maybe they feel lousy, 60, 45, 50. What do you say to them?
How do they get started? I would say to them, go to my website.
Okay.
www.drlife,
drlife.com.
Go to my website. I have all kinds of information on my website about my clinic, my program, and then get my book.
And doctors will watch this. What do you want them to know about what you're doing in Las Vegas?
I want doctors to know that this is very safe. It's not only safe, it's the thing to do. I talk about in my book that if doctors ignore low hormone levels in their patients, in my mind, it's the same as ignoring high cholesterol levels or high blood pressure or not telling your patients to stop smoking. It's in the same category, because we know that low hormone levels put people at risk for age-related disease and poor quality of life. It dramatically affects their life in bad ways. I want them to know that if I were to see any of their patients, that I work with them.
Okay.
And I compliment what they're doing.
So getting started, just do it. Make the call.
Just do it. Just call and talk to my staff and get my book.
Got to get the book. It's a good book. And it's written by a guy that's not just a skinny guy telling you how to lose weight.
No.
Thank you for coming on the show. Great stuff. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
My pleasure.
If you'd like to see the uncut version of this on our website, we'll feature it on wellnesshour.com. If you would like to point a friend in the direction of this interview, it'll be on our website at wellnesshour.com. Just put in Dr. Life or Dr. Jeff Life or hormone replacement therapy or hormone optimization. You'll find it there, and I'm sure you'll have it on your website as well.
Right.
For now, I wish you good health.
Thanks for watching The Wellness Hour, the leader in medical news with your host, Randy Alvarez, the authority on health issues.